The man's name is Mark. He is a prop master. On this day, he just wanted to see what was behind the wall, but he was very close. How could there be a bad signal? Just when Mark was wondering, a dark hole appeared behind him, and a mysterious figure emerged. Mark was about to go crazy from fright, but before he could react, what is the mysterious shadow? What will be Mark's fate? All of this starts with the group Mark is in. They are a group of self-proclaimed demon hunters. They are popular on social media. Like other adventure bloggers, they make money by filming various haunted house programs. The reason for their popularity is because they make a lot of changes. They use props to enhance the atmosphere, making people believe that it's really haunted. This highlights the team's skills. No one expected that this time they encountered something real. 2 days ago, the team received a mysterious email. It had the address of a haunted house. They were lacking inspiration, so they immediately went there. But on the way, a large tree suddenly fell, forcing them to stop. Their car was damaged by the fallen tree. Even so, in order to gain high traffic and views, they didn't retreat. They were already close to the marked location on the map. Everyone prepared to walk there with their equipment. When they arrived at the abandoned mansion, it was already very late. Just like other haunted places, the entrance and exit here have been destroyed. But it's not difficult for the well-prepared team. They directly use a cutting machine to cut through the iron bars, and then they proceed to explore this place. Soon, everyone discovers that this abandoned mansion is indeed eerie and terrifying, perfect for their show's location. The next morning, they start making arrangements. Right at this moment, leader Eric tells everyone some bad news. After an employee left the company, he exposed the team about creating illusions to deceive the audience, causing a public outcry online. They need to make an amazing show to prove their abilities. The ghost hunting team changes the script based on the original plan. This time, member Amy will play the role of an ordinary person troubled by evil spirits. Eric and his girlfriend Julie will still portray a couple of exorcists. Julie says she has created a ghost detecting device that can accurately detect abnormal electromagnetic waves nearby. Whenever the device detects changes, they will use spells to deal with it and perform an exorcism ritual. Amy's role is straightforward. She just needs to close her eyes and meditate to summon the evil spirit. To create a more realistic effect, she also brought in the prop master, saying that the more people meditating, the higher the chance of the evil spirit appearing. After closing her eyes, Amy realizes that she's not in the right state. Ever since she entered the mansion, she has felt a sense of unease. Witnessing this scene, her companions console her together. At this moment, nobody notices. The indicator lights on the ghost detecting device start flashing. Late at night, a piece of wall suddenly falls down from the corner, revealing a dark hole. A low and strange breathing sound can be heard. Before long, the door to Amy's room is pulled open by an unknown force. The noise of the wooden door wakes her up. Amy steps out to investigate, but she finds nothing outside the door. Just as she turns around, another door opens. Amy realizes the room that was just opened is the room with the strange hole. She can't take it anymore. She hurriedly finds Eric. Eric doesn't find it strange. Perhaps it's a mechanism set up by their colleagues for the show's effect, and there might be an issue with the mechanism. He also believes that since Amy can run and jump, there shouldn't be a big problem. Eric thinks that strange hole could be the highlight of the show. He calls everyone together to continue filming the show. Seeing that everyone is fine, Amy also thinks she's overreacting. After a busy night, they finally finish recording. But when they review the footage, they notice the video seems to be distorted by some kind of electrical interference. The image is unclear. Eric becomes furious. Their entire night's work is ruined. He shouts at the cameraman, Pete is ready to quit. Right at that moment, their argument is suddenly interrupted by Amy. She discovers a very strange painting. The painting depicts the room with the strange hole. What's eerie is, no one noticed the hidden door behind the man in the painting. Everyone agrees there is likely a hidden secret door. The previous tense atmosphere dissipates. They immediately start searching the room. As expected, they discovered a gap behind the wallpaper. After breaking down the door, what they saw inside did not surprise the group. A pile of dusty videotapes. In the corner, the equipment to play such videotapes had long been out of date. Fortunately, Eric spotted a projector. he asked the prop master, Mark, to fix it. Before long, Mark started laying cables on the floor downstairs. While he was focused on his work, he didn't notice the cables on the floor start to levitate, then suddenly drop to the ground. Hearing the noise behind him, Mark finally realized he didn't pay attention, thinking he had just pulled the cables accidentally. Eric put the repaired videotape into the projector. At first, it contained mundane family scenes from decades ago, the life of a family after moving here. As the footage changed, they realized things became strange. The people in the videotape were in a mansion. They discovered a notebook with some kind of ritual recorded in it. The children often mentioned seeing unfamiliar figures in the house. Soon, they discovered a secret passage in the basement. It was extremely eerie and terrifying. Upon seeing this, everyone immediately went downstairs to search. Pete placed the camera on the ground, preparing to help. The camera on the floor didn't stop recording. Suddenly, in the camera's footage, a dark figure appeared. It quickly crawled away. On the other side, the group searched the old mansion thoroughly, but they didn't find the secret passage. Lise, who was watching the surveillance, also didn't notice anything. Eric and Amy, one driven by wealth, one purely terrified. Both of them decided to stay up all night and watch all the videotapes. In the footage, the old lady told the children to leave and never come back. After they left, the old lady took out a handgun and mercilessly killed the remaining family members. This scene left Eric and Amy stunned, but they also began to doubt. Eric started searching the house and actually found a handgun. Eric continued watching the videotapes. The old lady explained her actions. It turns out, there was a demon in this mansion, and the old lady was a descendant of demon hunters. Because she hadn't used her powers for many years, she had long forgotten how to use them. The demon had been sealed by her ancestors on an altar. Every 50 years, sacrifices had to be made to reinforce the power of the seal. Otherwise, the demon would break free from the seal. Therefore, every generation of the old lady's family would leave the children behind and then sacrifice themselves. Recording this process was to inform future generations of the family. Shortly after, the old lady took her own life. After watching everything, Amy was completely confused. Eric immediately played the video in reverse, freezing the frame at the moment the old lady killed her family. A demonic figure appeared on the side. Eric took a photo with his phone as evidence. He had finally been waiting for this day. A real ghost had finally appeared before him. Eric stated, this program would definitely make them rise again. What he didn't expect was, this year happened to be the 50th year since the demon was sealed. The demon had already escaped from the altar and was wandering around the mansion. On the other side, Julie had just prepared to sleep when she heard a sound in her room. She looked around, but didn't notice anything unusual. She heard the eerie sound of breathing behind her. The sound didn't seem human, no matter how she listened. Julie wanted to escape from here, but it was already too late. Lise also noticed unusual phenomena. On the surveillance footage, she saw Julie standing by the bedside. This made Lise feel something was wrong. She quickly went to check the situation, but she found no trace of the other person in the house. She shouted from the attic. Soon, she saw Julie standing in a dark corner. However, her eerie posture made Lise hesitate to approach. Fortunately, Mark and Pete heard the commotion and found their way there. Before the few of them could get closer, Julie's neck suddenly stretched forward, breaking through the door in front of her, perhaps due to the impact. Julie seemed to regain her senses. When she turned around, she saw a horrifying scene. A demon was standing behind the three of them. Julie was petrified with fear. She fell from the attic and died. Lise was also terrified. She hurriedly ran to find Eric, but she couldn't locate him. Lise planned to find Eric through the surveillance system, but she witnessed a horrifying scene. In her own room, there was a dark corner. At that moment, that corner seemed to be moving. Before Lise could react, the strange figure revealed its true form. Lise was already terrified. She stared at the disappearing shadow in the corner. The creature's appearance in the light confirmed her suspicions. That was definitely not something a human would look like. She looked at the open door and sprinted towards it, but she couldn't outrun the ghost. Shortly after, a strange force pulled Lise to the ground and dragged her continuously into that peculiar hole. Soon after, the demon reappeared. On the other side, Eric and Amy and the others successfully regrouped. They found everything unbelievable. Amy suspected whether they were the sacrifices. required for the past 50 years. Although Eric had the same concerns, he still comforted everyone not to overthink it. Pete hadn't watched the videotapes, but he still made a decision. As the group went downstairs to search for Lise, Pete walked at the back. Then, taking advantage of others' inattention, he ran outside. The recent encounters, along with the words of others, made him think running away was the best option for now. The remaining few had no idea where Lise had gone. They discovered a trail of fresh blood on the floor. It extended all the way to the entrance of a hole, before disappearing. Such a small hole, even a dog would struggle to get in, let alone a person. The current situation didn't allow the group to hesitate any longer. After removing a portion of the wooden boards, Mark sent an exploration robot dog into the hole for investigation. As the robot dog ventured deeper, Mark discovered a secret passage behind the hole. As the robot dog ran further, the video feed became increasingly blurry. Eventually, the signal was lost not far from the end. At that moment, after a frantic run, Pete finally managed to escape back to his car. While he realized he didn't have the car keys, just as he was getting frustrated, an elderly lady suddenly appeared. She said to Pete she was passing by and noticed Pete's car trouble, so she came to help. Pete expressed his gratitude. The old lady told him not to worry and went to start her own car. Yet Pete didn't expect that the old lady would suddenly ram into him. Out of concern that he might not die, she ran over him a second time. Meanwhile, after Mark retrieved the robotic dog, he found that the device's signal receiver was working fine. They proceeded to explore the cave once again. A mysterious figure appeared in the cave. Mark hurriedly removed his blindfold. He shouted loudly for Amy and Eric, who were monitoring the footage. In the next moment, he was dragged into the cave by an evil spirit. When Amy and Eric arrived upon hearing the screams, they were terrified by the horrifying scene. They immediately tried to escape. When they reached the ground floor, an old man holding a welding gun welded the door shut. In fact, the old man and the old lady who killed Pete were siblings who escaped years ago. They were the ones who sent the invitation to the team. Their intention was to have the team replace them as sacrifices. Eric and Amy went back upstairs to find another way out. At this moment, Eric didn't forget about the show, risking his life to take the videotape. It was because of this delay that eerie voices started to surround them. Then the door was closed by the evil spirits. The two of them had no choice but to enter the tunnel. Before long, the two of them arrived at the previous secret passage. The altar from the video was at the other end of the tunnel. The seal barrier on the ground has been opened with a gap. Strange voices resurfaced from within the seal. They had no retreat, and could only flee deeper into the place. When they encountered a dead end ahead, Amy completely broke down. She would rather die than be killed by demon. She took out Eric's handgun, and prepared to commit suicide. At that moment, the door opened. Amy was knocked down by a force. She still didn't give up. She still wanted to use the gun to end her life. However, her body was suddenly hit, causing the bullet to miss her brain, but it shattered half of Amy's face. Then she was dragged into the darkness by the evil spirit. Eric understood that he was the next target of the evil spirit. He stated that he was not the exorcist who came to sacrifice. Eric swore to the evil spirit, if it spared his life, he would bring workers back, dismantle the altar that sealed the evil spirit, freeing the evil spirit from the confinement of the residents. Even Eric didn't expect that. The evil spirit believed him and didn't kill him. 6 months passed. Eric became famous online due to that episode of the show. Money and fame made him forget his promise. While attending a party, Jack went to the restroom to relieve himself. He once again heard the familiar strange voice. He quickly opened all the toilet stalls to inspect them. He found that it was just a woman who had drunk too much. Eric mocked himself for being too timid. Just as he was about to leave, the demon suddenly appeared in front of him. Thus, the film concludes. Cancelled was released last year. It tells the story of an internet-famous ghost hunting team trying to regain their popularity after being exposed by someone, which caused a public controversy. They visited a real haunted house, determined to reclaim their former popularity. Through this activity, as a low-budget horror film, the film has many notable highlights. It successfully creates an atmosphere, with a thrilling and suspenseful plot, making it a worthwhile and thrilling movie.